Okay, so again, for the benefit of anyone watching this in the future, this is our staff bite-sized session on working with PDFs. So what are we going to be looking at in this session? Well, we've created a rather laboured acronym here to break down what we're going to be looking at on PDFs. So very exciting. We're going to be looking at creating PDFs, reading PDFs, editing, annotating, converting, and exporting, because it can be a bit of a tricky file format. Sometimes you get sent a PDF, you don't know how to edit it, or you've lost the original file that's lost to time immemorial, and you need to do some changes. So we're going to show you all about that today. Now I'm going to pass over to Siobhan to kick us off.
Okay, so let's get started by thinking about what PDFs are and what PDF tools we have available at the University of York. So what is a PDF? Why are we here? In this session, not just generally, PDFs can't answer that unless it was a PDF of some serious existential questions. So what is a PDF? Portable document format. Yeah, we've learnt that, haven't we? That's good. So why do we use them? Why have anyone come to learn about PDFs? Well, lots of reasons. They're used particularly because they're easy for people to access on different devices because they will look the same. A PDF is basically as if you printed it off digitally. That's how I like to describe it. So a PDF is as if you printed it onto paper, but it's a digital file that is like that. So it's a final version. It is designed to preserve formatting no matter where you are viewing it. So it's a bit like having a piece of paper that you can zoom in and out of on a device, essentially, which means that it is sort of seen as a universal format in terms of people being able to see it on different devices. And it also means it's widely supported. Most tools, most operating systems will have a way of accessing PDFs. Lots of tools will export into PDF as that kind of final format. And in fact, any tool could export to PDF using print to PDF as long as there's a print feature. So you can do a lot with getting PDFs. They're really easy to share because they are one consistent file type. And they're good for consistency as well because of this. They're much easier if you're worried about formatting changes or formatting breaks, unlike something like a Word document where things like different versions of Word might impact what it looks like. Different PDF editors won't change what a PDF looks like. It will look the same because it is like a piece of paper. They're good as well if you need to print something. If you've made some sort of printed material and you need to send it to someone else to get it printed off, turning it into a PDF is a good way to ensure you've got that solid file type to send to them. So often if you're creating something like a poster or postcards to be printed, say at the university, you would turn it into a PDF because that gives it that consistent size and file format that you might need. PDFs can be different sizes. You probably are used to seeing A4 PDFs, but actually you can make them at any size. If you're making an A0 poster, save it as a PDF. That will preserve all your content on there nicely. They're good for preserving formats and keeping them safe and for archiving things as well, because they are not designed in the first instance to be editable. So these are all things that we need to consider when thinking about PDFs. They are they're easy to share, they're not so easy to edit or to get into different formats, but we'll be going through that. And the other thing to bear in mind on top of all of this then is we might not always need a PDF, because these reasons are why we would use one. But there's also reasons why we might not want to use a PDF. Editing being particularly the main one. If there's making a file that you want other people to be able to edit, don't send them a PDF, because they need PDF editing software and some skills, and depending on the type of PDF you sent them, they might still struggle. So PDFs are not designed to be easily editable, and especially not if you're sending them to other people. So if you want to send it to other people, think about other file formats if they need to edit. If they just need to view, a PDF is great. Collaboration can be difficult as well. There's not many PDF tools that will allow you to collaborate and work on a PDF. So it can be easier to make something in a different tool and then export it into PDF if you need to be working together. The other problem we have is that there's like a lot of powerful PDF tools, like the ones we're going to talk about today, particularly ABBYY Finereader, which we're going to talk about. It is a desktop application. So being able to access editing tools on the web is difficult. You can view them on the web. Most web browsers have built-in PDF editing and maybe a bit of annotation, but you don't tend to be able to do more complex things with PDFs on the web. They also can be quite large files. So if you're just uploading them to the web, they can be very slow for people to download and use on the internet. So do think about that. If you've made like the world's most beautiful, huge PDF booklet, do try and make that file size as small as possible, or it's just going to steal everyone's internet while they attempt to read that PDF. I'm sure you've opened a PDF that's so long it's like downloading like the old-fashioned downloading lines, basically. So do think about that too. And there's also accessibility. So you can make accessible PDFs. We will think about this today. But some formats of PDFs are not very accessible, and in any case, it's often good to have an alternative to a PDF for people because you can't do things like reflow the text. So you can zoom in, but that might make it so it's very hard for somebody to access it. If they're looking at it, but they need it to be much larger, you can't resize the text like you can on something like a web page because the text is fixed like a piece of paper. So PDFs are, it's good to have an alternative to a PDF if you're thinking that people might need to be able to read a lot of the text, because zooming in on a PDF normally just puts you in a sea of text. It's impossible to work out where you are on it. So it's not a good format for reading if someone wants to zoom in a lot. It can be good to have an alternative. So those are some reasons we might not use PDFs. So we just wanted to make that aware as well as the reasons they're useful. And all PDFs are not equal. You might think it's a lovely egalitarian PDF world in which all PDFs are equal, but it is not. There are different types of PDFs, and if you have some types, they work differently to others. So we have readable PDFs, which are PDFs that have been created using tools often either exported out of something that does text creation or created in some kind of PDF editor that allows you to put text on. And these are readable. So the text can be selected, searched, and edited if you have a PDF editor, basically. These types of PDFs can be very accessible because they can be accessed by screen readers. They can be, people can like search for the text on them. They can be very difficult to copy and paste out of, though. I will tell you, if you copy and paste off even readable PDFs, it often puts weird line breaks in that you can't get rid of unless you manually change it. So if you want someone to copy and paste something, don't give it to them in a PDF. But readable PDFs can be very useful. Image PDFs, however, may look identical, but they are not the same. The text is a picture, so you can't access the text on that PDF. It's not selectable, it's not searchable, it couldn't be accessed by a screen reader or other assistive technologies. Often this comes from either when you've scanned a printed material, that's how most scanners work, or the scanners on the PCs on campus, that's how they work. But also images or converted files that you put into PDF can be like this as well. If you have one of these image PDFs, you can use something called OCR, or optical character recognition, to try and turn them into readable text. So it tries to extract the text off them and gives you like a bit next to it where it will give you all the text. But this varies a lot in terms of how accurate it is. Normally there will be mistakes and you will have to edit it. And it could be there's lots of mistakes depending what it is. If it's something like handwriting, if you've scanned some handwriting, that is going to require more work than something that was just a typed document with nothing else on it that might be easier for it to read. John's going to highlight to you in a bit just where the button is in ABBYY Finereader, the tool we're going to talk about a bit later, to be able to do this in it. Because it does allow you to be able to make these PDFs potentially more accessible because you can give the text with them. Otherwise, people just cannot access that text if they cannot decipher what it says. So, which PDF tools do we have available? We're going to go through a range, but we're going to really be focusing on a couple of particular tools in today's session. So if you are on a managed Windows device, you will have a range of PDF tools in Software Center. The one we are going to focus on mostly today, and the one that is most powerful, is ABBYY Finereader. It can do basically anything you want to do with a PDF, unless you've thought of some weird thing that it doesn't do. So it's really useful, and John is going to be demoing that in a little bit and showing you some of its key features. There is also Coral PDF Fusion. If you've been at the university a while like I have, you remember when that was the only option, and it's not very good. It's fine at bulk converting PDFs, and you can put pages of PDFs together in it, okay? Can't do much else. It can convert them, you can combine them and export them as a bigger PDF, but the software has not been updated in what I would guess about 20 years in terms of visuals. So ABBYY is our more recommended tool for working with PDFs. It has a lot more functionality and looks like it was made sometime in the last few years. And there's also Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is a PDF reader. But there's lots of PDF readers, so you don't necessarily need to download a specific one. Like web browsers. Web browsers allow you to read PDFs. On Windows, you can use Edge or Chrome. Edge, in fact, has annotation as well, to read PDFs. You probably do already. If you're probably your web browser is your default if you've never changed it. For people who are on managed Macs or unmanaged Macs, people using Macs like I am, you can use Preview, which is a built-in image and PDF tool, which is really good for reading PDFs, but it can also do basic editing of PDFs. And it's really good for combining PDFs, really easy to combine them into one document. You can also use web browsers like Chrome and Safari to read your PDFs as well. And if you need to do more advanced editing of PDFs, you can also access ABBYY Finereader via the virtual desktop service. So you can access ABBYY if you need to. However, I'm going to put a massive caveat on this because I'm trying to do it at the end of today's session and it keeps breaking on me. So it might be more reliable to come onto campus and use a campus PC, like one in a PC classroom or in the library, because they all have ABBYY installed on, or even just see if you can ask a colleague who's on a Windows device to use ABBYY, because yeah, on the VDS is a little bit hit and miss as to how well it's going to work. But you can do a lot of basic PDF stuff in Preview, which is very useful. And then we also have, as if there wasn't enough PDF tools out there, Google Drive, which can open, share PDFs, add comments to them in Google Drive, which is useful. If it's a readable PDF, you can select text and add comments to it in Google Drive directly. So if you want to get feedback on a PDF, the easiest way to do that, upload it to Google Drive, share with the right people. They can add comments. You can then edit the original file that hopefully isn't a PDF. We'll come back to that. Another way you can work with PDFs if you're happening to read material is we've got two reference management tools, Paperpile and Zotero at the University of York, that both have PDF reading and annotation built in. So if you're reading any particular literature, reading articles or papers or all sorts of stuff you might want to save, Paperpile can save all sorts of things. You can save PDFs in there of things like reports or academic papers and annotate PDFs in them as well. And then after that lovely list of many tools that you could use, we highly recommend against third-party options. This includes when you open a PDF in Google Drive, it's like, do you want to open this with some other tools you maybe have never heard of, like Lumin and DocHub? That really confused me because Lumin sounds like it's from Severance, and I'm kind of picturing something really dark now. But anyway, so these tools are third-party tools and we have no license agreement with them. So do not be opening your PDFs with them. They could be, you're giving them access to potentially your whole Google Drive. And also if there's any content in that PDF that shouldn't be shared, don't do it. If you see these integrations in Google Drive, don't use them. Download and work on your PDF somewhere else if you can't do what you need to in Drive. Basically, don't use these third-party options. We don't know what they're doing with your PDFs or the rest of your Google Drive. So we don't recommend using them. Okay. That is tools that we have. I'm going to hand over to John.
Yeah, let's just do a couple more slides just before we jump into the tools themselves and show you a bit of demo. Just some general guidance on viewing and annotation. So again, you know, PDFs are probably going to be these very text-heavy documents. Sometimes you're on a 99-pager, and trying to find your information might not be as easy as a lovely Google Doc or Word doc with these nice styled headings. Hopefully people have created their docs accessibly and you've ended up with a PDF that's accessible. But just to pay attention to some of the viewing and annotating tools, the more you can get used to using those navigation tools when navigating PDFs, it's going to make your life a lot easier, and particularly using the find option, particularly using Control F, or if you're on a Mac, Command and F, to jump to a bit of text in particular, or using features like bookmarks. You can scan the PDF yourself, you could search for something, add a bookmark to get back to that information later, or jumping to a specific page or trying different page layout views is worth paying attention to. Again, I'll show you some of this in a second. In terms of annotating, we've got a couple of different ways we can do that. One is with text-based comments. So as Siobhan said, we can do this in Google Docs, we can do this in all sorts of other programs, but we're going to look at ABBYY. And that's great for including sort of very specific feedback on a targeted bit of text in that document. It's great for detailed notes and collaborative discussions through things like Google Drives, and it's much easier to find that information. It's searchable, it's clear, it's organized. The other method for annotating is drawing tools, and that is going to be less accessible to a lot of people because you might have just drawn a squiggly thing. You might have handwritten a note if you're very skilled with a mouse or a trackpad. That could be good for, highlighting information, but it's usually going to be best for yourself. That's going to be usually best for your own annotations, rather than a nice organized text-based comment. But those are the kind of the two key differences between our annotation methods as we talk about them. And in terms of editing a PDF, it's worth thinking about why and when you'd want to edit a PDF. As Siobhan said, the ideal solution is to get that original document and to edit that copy and then convert that back. But sometimes we don't have that copy. Recently I got sent a form by my dentist that was a PDF for editing. And I got back to them and said, can you send me this in a Word document format? And they sent me back a Word doc with screenshots of this PDF. So it was like, do you want me to put text boxes on it? So I realized I was using, I was fighting a losing battle there. So I thought, well, it's probably just going to be easy to edit the PDF, isn't it? But as we can see here, we can make corrections. We can change contact details, dates, prices, and time-sensitive data, perhaps. We can rearrange content in areas. But one crucial thing that we get asked about a lot is redacting information. And there's a very specific, proper way to do this with the tools we're going to show you today. It's not just drawing a black square over the information that you want to redact, because actually you can undo that. There's various tools where people can get that out. So we're going to show you the proper way to redact. So let's jump out of these slides now, and let's do a little bit of looking at some of the tools we've got available. So I'm going to start I'm in Windows here, and I've got some various PDFs here. Now, you can change which your default program is to open PDFs by right-clicking a file, going to show more options, and going to our properties at the bottom. And then we can change whichever program we want to open these with. So ABBYY is my program of choice today, and the one that we're going to recommend. But I'm going to just open these with a different program to start with to show you. So I'm going to use the UOY brand book as an example. I'm going to right-click this and open it with a browser to start with. Let's have a look at how it looks in Google Chrome. So Google Chrome is just a PDF viewer. I can cycle through content, I can skip through pages, I can do, the general kind of looking at stuff. I can change my views and so on. I can print it from here, I can present it, but I can't do much other than just looking at stuff. Okay, so I can't really do any editing. So if you're just looking at how do I just view a PDF, well, you don't need any other software for that. You've got Chrome available to you. An alternative to that is using Edge, because as Siobhan's mentioned, there's a little bit more we can do in Edge. So this time I'm going to right click and I'm going to open it with Microsoft Edge. So similar in that I can view the PDF, but I've got a few more bells and whistles here available. I actually have the ability to add annotations. I've got the option to add text boxes. I've got the option to ask Copilot, what's going on? Why have I got this PDF? What's in it? And hopefully it can tell me, but it's AI, so maybe best read it yourself just in case. But yeah, I've got a little bit more I can do here in Edge. So if you're not looking to actually jump into a new tool, you want just something else to view PDFs and add a little bit of annotation, we can do that in Edge. We can't edit the PDF here. We can't do redact and things like that. But again, it's got a bit of a leg up on Google Chrome in what we can do there. And of course, I've got the options here to then do all those annotations and then save it as a new PDF if I wish. Okay. The other one that is browser-based, again, as we've said, if I jump into my Google Drive, here are some PDFs that I've uploaded to my Google Drive. And again, perhaps Siobhan and I are wanting to collaborate on this. I'm looking for feedback on this PDF. We've got it in a shared drive. We could jump into it and we could add comments. Now, why can't I highlight this text here? I've actually got an image PDF here. This is just one of our slides from earlier. that was saved as an image and then saved as a PDF. So that's no good for accessibility, is it? Let's go to a duck one. There we go. I can highlight the text nice and easy here, and I can use my add comment button at Siobhan. What do you think of ducks? And assign that to Siobhan. I'm gonna save Siobhan the email there. But again, nice and simple. I do have this option to open with Google Docs and then have a monstrosity of a Google Doc with all the formatting changed around. Siobhan's going to talk a little bit more about converting later. But this is again where we wanted to pay attention to the suggested third-party apps. Let's steer clear of those. You know, I could have some sensitive information about ducks here I don't really want to share with third-party companies. But again, Google Drive is where we can do a little bit of collaboration. A couple of other programs that we've got then. We're going to focus on ABBYY, but just to pay attention to them, we have got ABBYY, we've got ABBYY Finereader we'll come to later. We've got Acrobat Reader. Now, this is the free version of Adobe Acrobat, and pretty much anything you try and do in it will bring up a pop-up saying, give us more money to pay for the full version of Acrobat. So it's there as a reader, but I've just shown you 3 different ways you could read PDFs. So, you know, maybe we don't need this right away. We've also got a trip back in time to 1995 with Coral PDF Fusion with its lovely resolution there, very blurry. Again, you can do a lot of stuff with Fusion. It could be someone's program of choosing, and I'm horribly sorry to anyone that is offended by my comments about PDF Fusion there. It's available, but the one we're really going to focus on that can do everything that you're going to need it to do is ABBYY Finereader. So again, this is available on managed devices on the Software Center, and as Siobhan has said, for your Mac users, you can battle with the VDS to get onto that. But what have we got here? Okay, so nice and easy, nice simple interface. I've got open and edit a PDF document. I've got an OCR editor here. So if I had that image PDF, or if I'd scanned a PDF or scanned a document, for example, that was printed out, then my OCR editor is the option I've got there for it's going to scan my document, look for text, a bit like Google Lens if you've ever used that, and it's going to use optical character recognition to try and pull out all the text from that scanned document. Now, the disclaimer with any OCR tool is there's chances are that it's never going to be absolutely perfect, that you're going to, if you're creating an actual readable PDF that text can be highlighted through this option here, you're probably going to need a degree of manual editing to actually make corrections. Okay, so that's the option there. But we're going to start with our PDF document. We're going to view, search, and print a PDF document. Let's see what I can do in here. So I'm going to load the UIY brand book document here, and we'll jump into ABBYY and see what we've got. Okay, so I've got my standard view things. I can jump to pages, I can zoom in and out. On my document page here, I have some annotation options, so I can add notes to things, I can draw things, I can highlight things and insert text and add stamps and all sorts of things there. But the key thing I really want to show you is how to edit content, because again, we can do this in other methods. We can do annotation in other programs, as I've just shown you, but editing content is what we want to see how to do. So I'm going to go to edit content. It might take a second to prepare my my PDF. I've cleverly chosen a 118-page, very graphic-heavy PDF for this demonstration. Well thought out, John. But we'll let it prepare itself, and then we can see what we can do in terms of editing. Because I might want to change the year of this brand book. I might want to rename this brand book. I might spot a typo after I've done all the things that I wanted to do from it. So, okay, I've gone into edit content. Now, it looks like not much has changed, but now I can add and edit stuff here. You can see I've got like a nice text ribbon here. Let's say I wanted to change the name of this document now to the big brand book of branding. Nice consistent cases there as well and everything. I could even move around images, like I can reshape these dots if I want to. Or let's go on to a better text page. There we go, let's go on to this bit here. Maybe we had a typo in here, something. we're super caring and inclusive, just to really emphasize that point. I can do all sorts of editing around in this PDF. And then I've got the option here to either save and just overwrite what was on that previous file, or I could save as, and I could save it as a PDF document or a searchable PDF document. Of course, we're not going to want to choose this image only PDF format for accessibility, because then we wouldn't be able to highlight this text. Screen readers wouldn't be able to access this text. It would just be an image, which is a bit rubbish. But yeah, loads of things we can do with our edit there. We've also got bookmarks as well. So, if I was scanning through this 118-page document and I was trying to find where does it talk about our brand attitude? Excellent, it's on page 8. I could add a bookmark there for brand attitude. Then when I come back into this PDF and I want to find that information nice and quick, I could use that bookmark to go and jump to it. Okay, I can search within it as well. I can do all sorts of other cool things. I can do quick replace as well. So, if we've accidentally used color with one O and no U's throughout this, if we've gone American, we could go and find all of those and replace them. So a really quick way to produce this, if we were producing this for American audience, there we go. I could replace all these with color, and that's nice and quick to do. Now, PDF editing, fairly simple. Just while Abby crashes on me and I wait for it to reload and I pad for time, the next thing I'm going to show is how to redact information. So what I'm going to do is open a different document and show you how to redact that information. Let's abandon Abby for a second and let's try opening another PDF for my redact demo. There we go. Okay, right. So I've got another PDF here about a very sensitive incident of some cake in the office going missing, and I've got some named people in this. We have a subject name. Someone has been named in this incident. I've got some dates. I've got some sensitive information that perhaps I need to pass a copy of this on with some of that redacted. And I don't want to just delete it. I want to show that there was some information there. And again, as I say, we don't want to just put a black box over it because people can undo that. But in ABBYY, if I go to the security tab up at the top, you'll see I have the redact tool. So if I open redact, then I've got the option of changing whichever color I want. I think the standard is black. But if you want to redact things in magenta, yeah, why not? We'll stick with black for now. But I've got this person that has been named in the incident here. All I need to do is highlight the information there that I want to redact, and there we go. So we can redact whatever we want, and we can redact various bits of this document. Now, what happens now is when I go, I can save as. Well, in my save folders, I've got my original copy here for the demo. When I go and save this now, you'll see it automatically adds the underscore redacted to the end of that file type. So my redacted copy now, I can save as a separate copy. I could overwrite the old copy if I wanted to, just by clicking on that and saving over the top of it. But again, when I save that redacted copy, and it's already bounced it up in ABBYY for me, then we've got those redactions there. So again, just from a security point of view, make sure that if you're doing those redactions, you're using the proper redact tool. Okay, so yeah, that's a bit of PDF editing. Now, we're also thinking about how we create accessible PDFs, because we're creating PDFs as well as we're viewing them, editing them, and so on. But there's some specific settings to know about when you're trying to create a PDF from a Word document to ensure that it is accessible. Now, we have a separate training available on creating accessible documents where we go through things like what heading styles are. So if you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about heading styles, I'm talking about titles, heading 1s, 2s, and so on. They create a structure in your document. If you don't know what I'm talking about, come to the other bit training. We'll tell you all about it there. So imagine we've got a lovely accessible Word document with all these headings in. There's a very specific thing we need to do when we are exporting that from Word. So as we say here, if your Word document is accessible, it will export to become an accessible PDF file. We could use the export option here, but if we are going to save it, and there's not really much difference between exporting and saving just gives you some more options you can click through. When I'm saving that Word document as a PDF, there's a couple of options I really need to make sure that I've selected. So when you're saving your document, you need to make sure that you're going to the options menu and make sure that when you're saving the document, you're ensuring that the options create bookmarks using headings is ticked, and that document structure tags for accessibility is ticked as well. Okay, and that's just going to make sure that when you've got your headings in your document, that as it's turned into a PDF, it carries across the information from those headings so that those can be navigated through and skipped through by a screen reader. Okay, now Google Docs, you don't have to do all that fuss. It's pretty good. If you've got your headings in already, you can just click download PDF and it will do that for you. But in Word, if I bring open my dessert debacle Word document, saving's a bit of a pain in Word these days because it's like, why don't you want to use OneDrive? Please say use OneDrive. And usually we're like, no, we don't want to use OneDrive. But if I save a copy of this document, I could save it as a PDF by changing that there. Now, the very small more options menu is what I actually want to go to make sure that this is an accessible PDF. So when I go to more options, then I want to go to this options menu here. And this is where I am making sure that that box is ticked, because quite often by default, if you've never done this before, that will actually be unticked the first time you do this. So make sure that you're ticking that box there to ensure we're creating those accessible PDFs. Okay, right. We've done some demo. You've heard me rattle on. Let's pass over to Siobhan to look at converting. I'll convert to Siobhan for this next bit.
I'm now a converted PDF. Lovely. So, as I alluded to earlier, converting PDFs to other formats is not as simple as you might hope. So, PDFs can be converted back to other file formats. I think the most common being a Word doc. But the quality and the formatting can vary a lot. It says from tool to tool, but it also varies a lot depending on what's actually in the PDF and just kind of how the PDF feels on any given day, I would say is probably one of the factors as well. There will be formatting changes unless it is a basically plain text document. It will lose things of complex formats. It'll often lose pictures for no apparent reason. I'll show you an example in a moment. So if you are doing this, be warned, you will have to do some editing. If someone has given you an old PDF and been like, we need to edit this, I'm not making it from scratch, we must edit this PDF. I mean, my advice would probably be, could we remake it? But if that's, you're told, no way, you've got to convert it back into Word because the editing tools, that's not enough for us. We want it back in a Word format. Then you are going to have to do a bit of work to tidy it up, depending on what it is. Ideally, I say ideally because this is whenever we get a query of someone saying, I've got this PDF, I want to convert it back into this format. I go, could you ask the person if they've got the non-PDF format it was originally made in? And everyone goes, no. And you go, well, that would be most useful. But if you can get that, change that and re-export it as a new PDF. Make life so much easier. But if you can't, there are options. So, once again, ABBYY Finereader can do this, and it is probably the best tool you can use. You can also use Coral PDF Fusion. It's one of its features. So there are alternatives if you're having an issue with ABBYY, but ABBYY is probably the best way to do it on a managed Windows device. It does it quite nicely. You can do more than one at once. Yay, good. If you want to convert PDFs on a Mac, you have to delve more into the world of stuff that isn't so good at doing it. Preview can really only convert into image format, so it's great if you wanted your PDF to be an image, but poor if you want it to do much else. You can try, I highlight try, Word can technically open PDFs and it tries to convert them back into a Word document, but it does it much, much worse than an actual PDF tool. So you can try doing it in Word, but you'll probably lose almost all elements of formatting that you wanted, and it won't look great. But you can try it. Or you can use ABBYY. I've written on the VDS, but honestly, since lunchtime, it's been my own personal hell trying to get ABBYY to work on my Mac on the VDS. So I would actually recommend maybe coming onto campus and using a computer here, maybe asking a colleague on Windows to do it. Those are just some thoughts from the top of my head, but we'll have a look at it in a moment. The other thing is that if you are accessing a PDF on the VLE, then you can use Blackboard Ally to convert PDF course materials into other formats, and it can also check for accessibility at the same time. So if it is through the VLE that you're working with PDFs, as lots of reading materials might be, that's just an extra thing that you can do. So I just want to jump in, and as well as talking about PDF conversion, I also just want to briefly show you PDFs on a Mac. So here's preview. Here's about ducks. It's a very basic PDF reader. You can rearrange the order of pages in a PDF by just dragging them, which is quite fun. And you can do basic annotation and things up here too. So some of those sorts of features. You can fill in text on form fields that I don't know why there's form fields on this, but there is some, it's found, and things like that. So you can do basic PDF stuff in preview. And as I say, if I go down here to export, I have limited file format options. I can export into image files and back and forth. So that's preview. What if I want to convert some PDFs? Well, here is a frozen window from the VDS of ABBYY Finereader, because guess what? On this of my screens, it will only freeze it. On my main monitor, which I have everything else on, including Zoom, I can click on things. Where's the logic in that? So I would say if you're going to do some PDF annotating on a Mac and you're going to try and use the VDS with ABBYY, bear in mind you want your sort of blood pressure to be fairly low at the start, and be prepared you might need to use alternative options or come onto campus or see if a colleague can help you. But let's just have a look at the outputs of doing some PDF conversion, which I've prepared in case my demos were not going to play ball. So I converted about ducks into a Word document. It looks identical because it's just text. So I can now go and I could, get rid of that bit. Don't want that anymore. I'm going to get rid of that bit. I'm going to put some pictures. I can work with it as a Word document, re-export it. Lovely. This one worked great. I also converted the brand book. This took ages. I was just watching my computer. I was doing it through the VDS too, but it was so slow. Let's have a look and see what we got. Let's zoom out. Okay. It's taken off the background of most of the... That's a contents page, isn't it? So this is the other end of the scale. Simple document, beautiful. Complex document, I don't know how I fixed that one. So basically, depending on what your document is, does really depend on whether or not it is worth trying to... This is with ABBYY. This is like one of the best tools you could do to do this. And it's barely readable as a concept. Who we are with no E. Where did the E go? We don't know. Yeah, this is definitely not what the brand book is meant to look like, but it gives you a great example of the extent to which you can have PDFs that don't work when you convert them. So for complex PDFs, like the brand book, it might be a case that if it is not possible for you to do it, you could convert it and then grab the text out of it, because this is all now like text boxes. So I could actually start from scratch, but by converting it, I do get all the text out of it, and I haven't got to try and copy and paste it out for PDF, which can be much worse. But yeah, that is giving you the scale of what can work. It can go great or it can go awfully, but we have to just see which one we get in the end. So that is just something to bear in mind when attempting to convert PDFs. Doesn't always work. Just minimize every PDF in the world now. Ooh, PDF guide. Here we go. So as we've been saying, this has been a sort of whistle-stop tour about working with PDFs. If you want to read some more and get links to tools that we have, you can look at our PDF guide, which basically just summarizes everything we said today, I would say, with maybe fewer of the jokes. I wrote the PDF guide, so I'm only complaining about myself and I didn't put more jokes on it. But what we really want you to take away with you is to know when to use a PDF and when not, and how to work with them if you need to, or if you have to because you've been given a PDF. Sometimes working with PDFs is very much a bit of a workaround, but sometimes it works great, and that's exactly what you want to be using. They're really useful for some things and less useful for others.